call these things. Okay, I gotta turn my air horn down real quick. That's going down to 35 just in case. Yeah, so we good, we good. But
Cool.
yeah, we live right now. It's a beautiful Saturday over here. Oh man, I've been up. I did a recent live for like 5 hours, Ike. But I was glad to have you come up on this show because I heard you charge like $2,000 per hour type stuff. So those of y'all don't know, this is
Well,
the brother Ike. Go ahead.
no. Always a pleasure to be here. I watch you from the clouds, and as you like to say, I'm out there sneak dissing, whatever that means. Uh, but
Sneak
yeah,
this
I'm
to
out. Let me ask you, why did you start this YouTube channel? See, I'm gonna turn it around on you real quick.
Bruh, I don't know. I really don't know, honestly. That's a good
Hmm.
question. I ask myself that every day. It's like this was supposed to be a beat channel making beats. And shouts out to
Hmm.
AO, the Big Facts podcast. He just had hit me up. He was like, hey man, I was doing timestamps for his channel. He was like, hey, bro, like you need to do something with your channel. And I just started doing it. I started trying all types of stuff. You feel me?
So I was surprised when I saw the beat thing that you dropped today, but I actually did not know that you made beats at all. Like I didn't know you were a beat guy. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm a music guy too, as you may know, right? So we need to collaborate. We need to collaborate for sure.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm
Yeah.
down, man. I didn't know you could like spit like that. I was like, what the hell? I thought you was playing when you was like, I'm about to drop something to. I'm like, yeah, all right. I had did in that
I mean,
comment, and then you sent me something. I was like, damn, you kind of nice.
you haven't heard any of my stuff? Like my
Yeah, I heard.
channel opens up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I heard it, but not on no. It wasn't rap. You know what I'm saying? But the way it sounded like you was damn in New York or something spitting. I was like, God damn, this dude versatile. You know what I'm saying? It's like a flow that you tapped into.
Gotcha. But you're a music guy, so you know that if you're into music, if you're good at it, then you can kind of appreciate and also do different kinds. Not everybody is equally versatile, right? But it's if you can do classical, you can play gospel, and you can also play country, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. But actually, I started out with rap, right? And as a lyricist, hip hop is the most difficult thing to write because and by hip hop I mean good music. So when I say music, I mean good music, right? So rap is the most difficult because it's the most voluminous, right? One verse of a rap song, 16 bars, right, could be
Yeah.
like two songs of some other genres, right? So, and then not only, but you got to be witty too. You got to be witty. You got to be a little funny or maybe a little edgy. You get what I'm saying? Like if you take like a try to write like Nas or whomever your person is that you think is a good writer, it's not easy to do. So basically, I was able to transition from that into other kinds of music. Lyrically, now I'm just talking about writing lyrics, but I started out with hip hop. Yeah.
Damn. Well, you start off with the main mecca, if you ask me, and it just blended all over. So that's good. You're very multi-talented right there. That was something that had blew my mind right there. And on top of that, you're business savvy. You see what I'm saying? Like right now,
Hmm. Hmm.
right now, if you don't mind, can you let the people know where you're located at right now?
Oh, I'm in my one of my Africa bases, my undisclosed location, my little bunker. It's Accra, Ghana, right? That's West Africa. That's I'm from Nigeria originally, so a couple of countries over, not too far away from Nigeria is Ghana. I'm going to be here till February. And for those of you who don't know my channel, you could check it out. And in my channel, there, one of the videos I have says how I double my money every 2 years, and in there I show that I am working on some real estate stuff, like building stuff here. And also, I have like a little taxi business here. And in that particular video, I kind of show you how you can get into the taxi game, right? Basically, because think about it, young Grump. People need
Yes.
transportation everywhere, right?
Yes,
But
sir.
there is no credit system like you have in the United States where you can go in and say, hey, I want to get a loan for a car, right? So, but if you got $4,000, $4,000 to $6,000, you can buy a car, right, for somebody. Basically, now you're the bank, right? You give it to them, and the giving it to them and the somebody part, that's the whole network trusted stuff, right? That we understand that has to be in place, right? When O'Shea, for example, was setting up his whole Africa situation, he went to Wodemaya and other people. Also, you too, if you want to, let's say you wanted to do something, you start with people that you know. You talk to me, you talk to O'Shea. We say, okay, we know this person, we know that person. So you get a car, $4,000. You give it to somebody, right? You can charge them 66% interest. That means in a year and a half or so, they give you $10,000 back, right? So no, sorry, that's if you have $6,000, 66% interest, and in a year and a half or so, they can give you $10,000 back, right? And then you can
Yes,
flip
sir.
that again. You get another car, or get two cars, or get a bigger car, which brings more money in, right? Or like a four-door crossover or something, and so on and so forth. So I'm over here right now taking care of some business. I'm building also an apartment complex, 5 plots of land over here, this blah 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 blah. Yeah, so we're doing it out here, but I'm in Africa. That's a long way of answering your question as to where I'm at right now. I'm in
Nah,
West Africa.
I'm glad you answered like that because I remember I told you before this show when I was a kid, America used to do this bull on saying that like 2 in the morning be a paid program of like malnutrition people in Africa and stuff. You know me, I'm African American too. So it's like I'm a kid, I'm seeing this shit. So every time I hear Africa about poor and all that, and as I got older, I was like, damn, they really fed us this bull. And you know what I'm saying? It's not like that. Because look at you, look at your background and everything. You know what I'm saying? What you gotta say for that though,
Hmm.
honestly, about that propaganda?
Okay. Honestly, it's what the people want, right? So it's like you could take the space of YouTube that we're in right now. People can complain all day about the kind of content that they would rather see, right? But the fact is, even in your channel, right, you can be one content creator. You make the kind of content that they would rather see. How many likes, how many viewers do you get? And then you make the crap that they actually do want to see. And how many views do you get? Right?
Oh,
So
okay.
it's the people, right? You get what I'm saying? It's the people. So do people want to just see some regular stuff? No, they want to see a guy with a bone through his nose, right? And they want to see some kid somewhere with flies on his eyeball, right?
That's
So
crazy. Go ahead.
you know what I mean, right? So
Yeah.
that is one big basic reality of it all. Underneath that, you can then say stuff about, well, does it benefit some people's talking points? Yes. But I think that the primary reason is because that's what people want to see. You know what I mean? Because if we could talk to a blue in the face about the right kind of content of all kinds, right? But people don't want to see that crap. People want to be shocked. People want to, it's whether it's peace leave or whatever it is, or something shocking is what people want to see. And then there's another aspect too, which is you talk about the poverty part. That part, yes, I get that's kind of cringe, but the
Yeah.
bone through the nose part, the tribal part,
Yeah.
that part is actually interesting because that is different, right? Now, if you thought that that's how all of Africa was, or just like thinking all of South America is and some kind of Amazonian tribe somewhere, that kind of thing, then that's kind of partially your fault. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's kind of partially your fault. If you've never, there's Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and then there's Real Argentina, and all that kind of stuff. Like, if you didn't realize those existed, that's kind of partially your fault. But it does work towards the talking points of some people. The fact that they're constantly just showing the poor or the this and that, and then it helps some people to kind of propagate a certain kind of message. I do agree.
Yeah, my bad. I was trying to take my key binds off because when I be typing, it'll go wah, 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 you make all them sound effects.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm glad you broke it down like that because yeah, it's like people want it. It's what the people want to see. And you said if you feel as though that all of Africa or even South America is like bone through the nose and the diapers and all that, if you believe that's everything over there, it's your fault because that's the reality they want to see. That's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I'm glad you
and
had. Go ahead.
yeah. So it's not all that, or it's not all elephants and zebras and lions, and it's not all anything. So if you want to, it's like you want to show some stuff in America. You go down to the Mississippi Delta or something like that, and you show some crazy guys who catch catfish with their hands, right? That's not all of the South. right? But
No.
it's the kind of thing you want to see, because I don't want to just see some other building or some other street like any other building and street. Show me some stuff, right? So I always look at things from the perspective of human nature first. What do people actually like? And what do they want to see before I start going into people's agenda, right? It's most of the things that happen in this world, it's because that's how people are. Okay. Whether it be war or greed or this or that, it is less likely the case that it is the work of some group, some cabal of plotting evil people. It is less likely that than it is just the average normal human being, just spread out large, and the same evil that's in your heart, you multiply it over billions of people, and this is what you got.
That's facts right there. I'm glad you like not just referencing that every possibility of why they act like there's some hidden commodity group that has plans. I mean, that's the least possibility. You just saying that's just how people are in ways, right?
Yeah, and I think that that is the beginning of wisdom, and that is why, you see, whether or not you're a religious person, one thing, if you're wise, okay, if you're not a dumbass like a lot of people are, a
There
lot of
we go.
modern people, a lot of modern people think they're wise, and that's how you know they're stupid, right? But if you're wise, you know that one thing that religious people have is that they focus on evil, right? That they focus on the negative of the individual heart, the individual soul, right? That kind of thing. That is a good place to start. Some people tend to think, oh, it's just because we don't have power, or we don't have representation, or because we don't have this. In other words, they look at the world and they want to put the problems of humanity in certain other kind of place where you can scientifically turn some knob and everything will change. But one piece of very wise thing that religious people have is they know that evil is the main problem, and evil is not out there, right? It's in you.
It starts within. Okay, that's some deep knowledge right there. Hold on. Let me go ahead and go to these comments real quick. We had salutes to Joe and Ham Tard talk about the suit and tie thing about that. Learn healing, kind of like Manosphere channels. Most of their views come from women topics, but their self-improvement content hardly gets views, so they end up sticking to making the woman content. What do you want to respond off that, or you want to just keep going?
Let me. I can respond off that, just so that we really kind of really
Go ahead.
understand that point, because it's very broadly applicable. Because how do we get here? You asked me about Africa, right? I'm in Africa
Yes,
right
sir.
now, and you're like, oh well, the things going on in Africa, and I'm going to put out some content, and I put out some content before. Check out my channel again about I was just going
I
to go
pinned
get
it.
some coffee. Yeah, cool, thank you. The last time I was in Africa, I walked out the apartment I was in last time, took footage, going to go get some coffee and coming back, right? So you can kind of see what it's like. That it's like being in New York, depending on where you are, right? There are grimy places in Africa and grimy places in the United States, grimy places everywhere, right? But you asked me about that, the kind of content that was shown about Africa, and rather than me go, oh yeah, they want us to look this way and they want us to look. I said, look, this is what people want to see. People want to be shocked. People want to blah blah blah. That's one aspect. Another aspect is an anthropological aspect, and this is the aspect of the tribal people. That is what is interesting. It's interesting to see these tribal people, right, rather than something else. And if you thought that everybody was a tribal person living in the bush, that's your problem, right? Don't blame anybody else. It's the kind of people that say, "Oh, they never taught me this in school." It's like, who the hell said you were going to learn everything in school? There's barely enough time to teach you some basic stuff. You people say that all the time. Like, they don't tell us that in school. Like, dude, if you thought your education was supposed to come from school, you already got a problem. But anyways, to this point of what people want. For example, shout out to Ramil. I was watching a stream on Ramil earlier today, and he's been going in lately about all the crap content that is out there, and how people are now trying to convince women of this, or basically trying to make a whole housewife. You want to make put it down that way. But the thing is, and then he had a bunch of people in the chat saying, "Yeah, that's crap, that's crap." But I was looking at the people in there, and I was like, you know what? If Ramil, in other words, they're doing the same thing. This topic, it's still the same topic. It's still about hoes, right? If Ramil was in there not paying attention to, oh, you stop trying to make hoes a housewife. If he was just talking about the other things he talks about, real estate or herbal medicine or something, they would not be there. Okay,
Hell no.
so whether you're talking to hoes, talking about hoes, saying don't talk about hoes, it's still hoes, and that's where you see that's where the people get attracted to. So they're like, oh yeah, don't. Dude, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. So
They go
it's all
ham.
a farce.
It's like a church over there sometimes, man. Shouts out to him. But Ramil Herbs, yeah, I definitely have a description down below. You know, he definitely had that business to other good brothers. But you're
Mhm.
right. If it was just like that, if he would just him and many others would just make a YouTube channel talk about, hey, here's these herbs, you know, sea moss and all that. They'd be like, man, get the out of here with that bull. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Yeah. So
The
you're right
same
about
people
that.
that are in his chat talking about, yeah, f these hoes, right? And it's like, dude, don't you see? You guys are attracted to the same content, whether it's I'm trying to talk to hoes or I'm saying f these hoes. This is what you guys. This is the only thing you guys watch. So basic information about people is that the average person is average, and just for people who are not mathematically inclined, average is the most, right? Of anything, generally speaking. The average is in the middle of the bell curve, right? And when it comes to being mediocre, when it comes to being either not high level enough, that's where most people are. So when you look outside your window and you see certain outcomes, that's because that's how most people are, and that's what most people want. Don't believe the people who tell you, and this is how some people get you. Some people tell you, oh, it's this people who are trying to trick you. Join my little clique. We got the secret. We got the conspiracy theory. We got the key. It's like, no, it's just people. You're not going to change it. Unless you want to become the dictator of the world and put your boot on the necks or over the necks of the average people and suppress their bullshit, it's never going to change.
Well, that hold on at the end. What you said at the end just now, the boot on the neck. Say that one time.
Unless in other words, if you think that somebody somewhere is controlling all this stuff, and if only we just went in there and changed that, then all of a sudden all the average people out there are going to start doing high level stuff and watching high level content. They'll be free, they'll be healthy, they'll stop eating McDonald's, they'll stop being fat, they'll start being rational, they'll start thinking. If you think that's going to happen, you're wrong. The only way it's going to happen is to suppress the average person with some kind of crazy dictatorship, which I'm not saying is good or whatever, right? But that's the only way. Like that's the only way is to get them, put all their collective necks in one collective chain and usher them in a particular direction, which some of them like, by the way, because sheep need to be led. They need it. Sometimes they even like it. So a little bit of force is not a bad thing for these for the sheep sometimes.
Yeah, it kind of remind me of like Order, like that movie called Tombstone, where it was like the Wild Wild West, and they I still gotta finish that movie, but shouts out to Deep and Precious. He said that movie pretty much made it seem like it's all good to have fun and people just do their own thing in the town. You know, there's no law, do their thing, this and that. But it shows how chaos is created with it to the point where it's like we gotta have organized crime and we gotta have it has to be some type of order. Do you agree? What do you think?
Mhm.
Oh, well, us humans, right?
So
That's just how our brain is. But go ahead.
yeah, 100%. So order requires hierarchy as well. And that's to the whole kind of a rule thing. And it requires, and when you have a hierarchy or when you're trying to achieve something, you're going to immediately form a hierarchy of values. In other words, when you say, hey, this is worth achieving, let's go north. North now becomes more valuable than east, west, south, or whatever, right? This is what morality basically is, right? All kinds of virtues and values are just a path worth pursuing. Once you have a path worth pursuing, now it has formed a hierarchy. It's now higher up. And then there are going to be people and ways that are better at getting us north, right? The people who are better at getting us north. Then not everybody's going to be equally good at getting us north, right? And not every possible way of going north is going to be equally good. So you're going to have hierarchies, a better blah blah blah. So the people who like the whole free chaotic stuff, they're in two groups. The first group is the people who don't understand what I just said, who think actually that they will thrive and oh that It's equally fine to go north, south, east, or west. It's equally fine to plant corn or this or that or the other that you can plant on a pavement or plant on fertile soil. You get what I'm saying? That people who
Yeah.
think everything is everything, right? That's one group, and they tend to be the larger group. There's another group whom is more sinister and perhaps more. Now, I would even put myself in that group, and those are people who know that they can thrive in chaos, right? Those are the guys who are like, ha 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 ha, Birdman rubbing their hands, right?
Oh yeah,
They're
you know
like,
about that.
okay,
Okay.
you want some chaos? All right. I'm gonna make out like a motherfucker in this situation. So those are the minority. Okay, those are the minority. Those are the ones who then they come off like whatever, right? But the most of people who think, oh yeah, just go whatever, and why hierarchy, why order, why this, why that, they usually end up losing.
Oh, dang, dang. I like how you broke that down right there. That Birdman, especially that Birdman, that's a minority group right there. That's very not the.
Yeah.
What do you think happened if the whole masses would have that, Birdman rubbing their hands type mentality? How you think that would? Is that possible? Had that happened in our history, where it was a large amount of humans in the area that had that type of ideology?
Mhm.
And what happened? What was
I,
the effect
I
off
don't.
that?
I don't think so. I think that the only way it comes to be is when you have a strong hierarchy. In other words, you know how they say, an army of sheep led by a lion,
Yeah.
okay, will defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. So when you have a lion on top and they're actually leading the sheep, okay, the sheep can form that Birdman uh, mentality, that
Oh,
mentality of, yeah, but they're not going to do it by themselves, is the point, right? So it will never happen by itself, right? But the kind of system I'm talking about there, that hierarchy, that's a strong, think Saudi Arabia, think ancient Jerusalem or something like that. Those are
yeah.
those are strong. Yeah, you can't just get it with. So capitalism, liberal democracy, and this system under which we live right now is a double-edged sword, right? It works extremely well for the most people, okay? But it is not the best. The best is really a philosopher king monarchy, right? Almost by definition. If you have, again, that lion, right, leading the sheep, and you got this solid system, and you guys keep all the outside influences out, you guys a strong culture, a strong system, blah, 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 and you're going to be, you're led by Genghis Khan, and you're going to conquer the world. That is the best. But it is almost impossible to have or to sustain, right? So capitalism and liberal democracy almost kind of waters it down. It's like, oh, let the masses kind of decide, let them rule. What I'm saying is this. Another way to put it is this: like, if you're going to get a surgeon, you're not just going to go take a poll and say, well, I'm going to take a poll, and whatever the people decide is what I'll do. Should I cut here or should I cut here? Right? No, you go to the best, and you go to somebody who has studied. You go to somebody who is high on a hierarchy, someone who has differentiated himself from the masses. Okay? But when it comes to a certain kind of rule, right, political power, we say, okay, we're going to ask everybody, right, that kind of thing. Okay, so you get the trade off, right? You get the trade off. The reason why
Yeah.
we do that is so that we don't fight each other all the time. So let's give them some stuff. So you're not going to get. But let me put it this way to you. So people like you, young Grump, people like you, whom are able to at least have this conversation,
Okay.
democracy might be the best situation for you because you are that Birdman in a chaotic situation, because you can see, because you're not going to get led down the worst path, because democracy allows you to go down all the ridiculous paths, right? But you can see, you can be like, no, 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 I'm going to still have my discipline, I'm still going to have my structure, I'm still going to have my rigor, I'm going to still have my excellence, I'm going to go down this path, I'm going to make out, like, you get what I'm saying? But guess what? It's harder to do in a democracy because you don't have the whole society and the whole culture pushing you that way. The culture is just doing whatever, right? So in order for you to establish your kingdom, you need a lot of effort, if that kind of makes sense.
I get that. That was a perfect way to explain it. That was perfect. I wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying earlier, but it had just slipped my mind. Oh yeah,
Mm.
like you said, philosopher monarchy type is, what is his name? Marcus Aurelius. during the
Marcus Aurelius. Yep, one of the Stoics. Okay. Hmm.
all right, what do you think about his idea? What was his structure back then with the sheep and the birdman? Was he like over that type of stuff? Because I never understood his role and what he been doing.
Okay. So when I referred to the Philosopher King, I was talking about Plato. Plato's Republic is a book that everybody should check
Oh
out,
yeah, that book
generally
off the
speaking.
chain. Yeah, yes sir.
So, but when you talk about Marcus Aurelius, Marcus Aurelius is a Roman, right?
Yeah.
This is after the Greeks, right? So they took a lot from the Greeks, and Marcus Aurelius and other people of his ilk represent what you call Stoicism. Okay. Now, Stoicism is not something of the masses, for sure. Okay. Stoicism also is a very, and I'll get to it. You asked a broad question, right? So, number one is that these are people whom represent Stoicism. What is
Okay.
Stoicism? Well, let me ask you, what is Stoicism?
I think the summing up from my perspective, I think it's like principles and militant strategic like
Mhm.
rules that an individual go by, regardless of their environment or situation.
You're
That's
in the
why I
right.
think.
You're in the right. You're in the right ballpark. You're in the right environment. So Stoicism, another way that I would say it is, Stoicism is a when you what a natural man is supposed to do, which is protect and provide. Let's say you're out there hunting or you're out there in the military. There's only one philosophy that works, which is Stoicism, which is facts don't care about your feelings, which is it doesn't matter that the deer was not in the valley that you chose to go down. Well, nature doesn't care. You're gonna die, right? The enemy doesn't care that you don't feel like fighting today, right? Life, this pursuit of happiness and all that kind of soft shit, doesn't matter, including mastering of the internal environment, which is the main thing first, which is all that stuff about trying to seek highs and being bogged down by lows. Cut it off. Stay in a middle point where you're sober, right? It's everything that you said, right? But you kind of put an environment to it. You say like militant. Uh, it's all that. It'll naturally, in other words, you go out there to the Serengeti and you talk to the uh, I forget the name of the tribe now in Kenya, or any other kind of nomadic tribe that is dealing with the natural environment. They're out there hunting. They're out there dealing with nature. Their philosophy, whether they write it down or not, is a Stoic philosophy. They're not going to be out there talking about feelings and this and that. They're going to be talking about how you can maintain even keel the whole time. They're going to be talking about how you keep a clear, sober eye, both on the internal and on the external. And you get the idea. So that's what Marcus Aurelius was about. And another way to look at it, it is that it is very Buddhist, right? If you look at it from the East, which is quench your desire. Your cause of your suffering is desire, right? You need to stop getting on the highs and suffering the lows. You need to you need to accept everything that comes at you. I use the example of, well, the deer wasn't there, well, too bad, right? Or the enemy is coming, too bad, right? That life is that way. That is what Stoicism is about.
Whoo, that's like the cold, blunt, honest truth right there. That's what you trying to say with life, like nature, like the jungle. But
It's not the so I said a natural man doing his natural thing. If you then take the women back in while you're out there hunting or whatever, and the women are back in the village with the children, that is not what life is. Over there, what life is social. Okay, it is fairness, right? It is okay, well, everybody has got to share, right? It is don't
oh, okay,
let those people get too angry with you. You get what I'm saying? Over there, feelings matter more, right? But in the jungle, in the battlefield, in the hunting strip, what a man is supposed to be doing, in other words, none of that matters. That's why to be a simp is a male sin in particular, right? You
okay.
get
There
the
we go.
idea. Because to be a simp is somebody who thinks that if you just smile at nature and if you just do the things that, and nature now may be represented by a woman, right? If you just do the things you're supposed to do that some idiot told you to do, that things are going to go your way. It's like, no, you're going to get played, right? That's why it is, that's why people don't call women simps, right? Because in that whole realm of the social, of that's when fairness, egalitarian, and smiling and all that kind of stuff matters. Feelings matter. But as a man, it is horrible for you to be taking on that kind of a perspective or that. Now, when I say man and those kinds of things, I'm obviously talking statistically. And I know that people vary distribution wise, right? But if you go all the way to the extreme type of man and you take an ideal man in his natural environment, which is out there hunting or in the military or dealing with nature, dealing with the lower end of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, making sure that there's food and protection and provision and clean water, all that kind of stuff, dealing with nature. What the hell are you talking about? Your feelings and smiling. You're not going to smile at the tiger. You're not going to smile at the enemy. You're not going to smile at the rain or the cold or whatever. It doesn't give a crap about you. That's really what Stoicism is about. And the opposite of Stoicism is being a simp, basically.
Bro, you been spitting when you did that Maslow hierarchy, like we're at the bottom, like because so I take for granted that you have a opposition towards people who have attributes of being, for men, caring and supportive and simpish type. Let's just say that.
Okay, so first of all, I did say that there's a distribution. So there are women whom are more masculine and there are men whom are more feminine, right? So I'm
Yeah,
talking about naturally already, just naturally. Forget their environment, all that kind of stuff. So no shade to a masculine woman, no shade to a feminine man. People are outliers in different ways, right? However, if you're just like an average man,
yes,
the
sir.
way, shout out to Jordan Peterson, the way you actually are going to attain happiness is by picking up a heavy load, is through stoicism, is through facing harsh reality. It actually makes you happy. Okay, when
It's
you are
surprising.
out there with your band of brothers, facing the enemy. That's actually what makes you happy. It's not this other thing. It's not, you're not going to get fulfilled by just sitting there shooting up heroin all day and being in this weird state of bliss and comfort and being in a cloud. We don't want that. We don't want to be in bubble wrap. We don't want to be in a cloud. We want to be stressed, right? And
I
to
agree on
see
that.
progress in that stress, pushing forward. That's what we want.
Let me piggyback off that. I agree because personally, I witnessed that when I was in Bagram, Afghanistan, and we was sleeping like 5 hours a day, in the hazardous area, flying from helicopter to base and all that in an intense environment. And when it was my time to go, I felt like I thought I had Stockholm syndrome or something. It's like, but I was
Mm.
really stoic and happy. You know what I'm saying? I was not the only person. There was
One,
many others who didn't want to leave, which was kind of crazy to say. I know people like right now, people like, oh, what the hell? But that's the honest truth right there. That intense, condensed day to day. You know what I'm saying? Constantly working, constantly. It just I felt that's like one of the most times I felt happy, like really, like from the inside. Go ahead.
yeah, and again, that's why Jordan Peterson was so popular. That's what is. You're familiar with Jordan Peterson, I'm sure, right?
Yes,
That's what his message was, right? He says, clean up your room, pick up your cross, and go up the hill. The meaning crisis, right? In other words, meaning and happiness for men tends to come from suffering. Or I'm not saying it comes directly from suffering, but there's usually suffering involved, right? Because you got to pick up that cross and you got to grind up that hill. And it becomes all of a sudden meaningful. It's almost like magic. There is no other way to find the meaning is not going to come in the pill that you just take. No, we don't want it like that. We don't want it through heroin or cocaine or I push this button in your brain and it happens. Like, no, I want to know that I carried that cross up that hill. I want to know that I really struggled to get this stuff, because all of a sudden the stuff becomes meaningful, right? If somebody just gave me this cup, there's no meaning attached to it. But if this cup represented some battle that I had, a series of battles in Afghanistan, for example, and then blah, 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 and such happened. And then I got this cup is all of a sudden, it's like a religious thing, right? I'm going to keep this cup in some altar somewhere. All of a sudden, there's meaning associated with it. Why? It's usually blood and tears surrounding that kind of stuff, mainly
yes,
for men,
sir.
again.
That's some good blue Kool-Aid you drinking right there. But yeah. But yeah, you're right about that. You actually just opened my awareness on that because I wasn't aware of why I was happy when I was deployed over there. And so you had broke it down with the help of Jordan Peterson, his ideology too. And it made sense now because I actually experienced that firsthand. It's like, come on, like sleep deprived 5 hours every day, working, constantly, getting going to battle and whatever, confrontation. I mean, the average Joe is gonna be like, F that, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? But when I was in that situation, it just felt, I don't know, it just felt like, yeah, like a suffering. Like how you said, I know some people like, whoa, you get pleasure out of suffering. In a From my point of view, I say yes. Suffering, like, training hard or in intense situations, I think that brings true, like you being relentless, that brings natural happiness from within. What do you think?
So if we come back to, let's say, because one of the things about also Jordan Peterson and this space that we're in is it has to do with the relationship between men and women. And the thing about it is, some people try to belittle it like, oh, it's all about hoes and so on and so forth. But one of the main things that philosophy wise, psychology wise, and knowledge wise is that men and women are different, but they still got to live together. And to the degree to which the species is going to continue, you're going to need to understand what that difference is to the extent of your capacity, right? So why did I say all that? One of the things that tends to happen, one of the things that a lot of women don't understand about men, and a lot of men don't even understand about themselves, right, is that men need to grind, right? So I'm a married man, for example, right? And I've been in relationships before in the past. And one of the things I did not quite understand, because I was an idiot. Uh, I used to
Good
think
thing to
that
be honest.
I used to think that just typical blue pill type understanding that, oh, if a woman acts like, she's a modern woman and she thinks like a man, and then she understands, she's more or less thinking like a man in there. But like time after time, there was this thing which is they did not understand that no matter what, I'm not gonna stop working, right? They kind of think that I'm working for some amount of money so that I can go chill somewhere, right? And no, that's not what are you talking about? I'm not. It's I cannot envision as many. I don't have as many lifetimes possible. Even if you give me 1,000 lifetimes, I'm not gonna do all the things that I want to do. I'm not gonna carry all the crosses and go up as many hills as I want to go up. There's always going to be something where it's like, man, I could be better at that. I could grind in that direction a little bit more. I could improve in this area a little bit more. I could give a little bit more in that particular area. And that's never going to stop. It's almost like a necessity for me, right?
Yes.
Now, I haven't said all that, okay? Just because out of balance, right? Now, this is something I'm actually thinking about. I am not settled on it. I think that I think that some balance needs to be brought to that, though, in the sense that, it's the whole yin and yang thing, and you can't just go whole hog, uh, crazy balls to the wall, Genghis Khan style all the way. It can't be the case that should be. And one of the ways in which you balance it out for me is through the artistic pursuits, right? So whether it be the music, for example, as we started out this thing with, right? And I don't know, maybe it's music, maybe it's writing, maybe it's philosophy, maybe whatever it is that is more soft. You're going to need to balance out some of your more extreme or hard pursuits with that, because they too also challenge you, but they round you out in a particular way, right? So why did I say that? I'm saying that because as a man, this is one thing that you should know that women don't understand this about you, and they never will. Okay, they're never going to understand that the fact that you're just going to need to grind. My wife told me the other day, it's like, oh, I want to pray that you get I don't know how many billions that you need so you can stop working. And I said something that perhaps I shouldn't have said, because when I thought about it later, I understand how she felt about what I said. Okay, because feelings matter to women, right? And it's stupid to treat a woman like a man and treat a man like a woman, right? That's just stupid, right? So just because I'm over here being like, oh, I'm going to do my stoicism thing, doesn't mean that's what she's doing, right? It doesn't mean that's what she should be doing. It doesn't even mean she should understand it, right? So what I said was like, no, I'm never going to stop and this, that, and the other. But really, I don't know. It seems like I'm paused or something. Have I disconnected?
Hold on. Oh yeah, hold on. Dang, you just now paused. Hold on. Uh,
Let me
not
see.
now.
Should
Yeah, you speak. I hear you now, but your screen just went black though.
My screen went
Now,
black, but I still speak. Okay,
yeah.
it's possible I got to change the I got to change the battery on the camera, but I'll do that right after I finish this sentence
Okay.
here. So, what she really was trying to get out of me was that I actually do like spending time with her, right? But I didn't see that. You get what I'm saying? I
Oh,
just
okay.
saw I just saw, oh, what do you mean I'm going to stop grinding? I'm going to be grinding forever. I'm going to keep on. So that to her sounded like, oh, you just want to stay the F away from me, though. Like, there's nothing, there's no time you're ever going to want to. So I didn't see that until later. I was like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. Okay. So there are many ways to go wrong. But, anyways,
Did
let
you
me,
went back and
you
fix
go
that
ahead. Let me
though?
go change my battery. Let me go
Did you
fix it.
went back? I ask you when you get back.
Oh, yeah. Yes, well, let me change the camera and then I'll
Are
explain
you
further.
good? You good? I keep it going. But everybody in the chat, this is his YouTube channel. I had got it. If y'all come in the chat and y'all see that thing that's pinned at the top, that is Ike's YouTube channel right there. You know, I've been following Ike for a long time. Even before, no offense, but Lead Attorney, I'm pretty sure y'all know Lead Attorney now ever since the Charlemagne the God and all that situation. I met Lead Attorney through Ike. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying this like respectfully. So it's like Ike be having these meetings and tea parties with Kevin Samuels and all that. That's why I'd be surprised every time he want to do these lives with me because I'm sure he charged like $2,000 or $10,000 a session. But I'm just very grateful that he actually sees some value over here and he just spread his intellectual property. So again, if y'all in that chat at the pin at the top, that's his channel. Please subscribe, check it out. It's a lot of wisdom over there and intellectual property. I'm telling you. And I know many people be saying, I'm surprised we had talked about this earlier, but Ike don't know. But it's like it was individuals who be saying that since I'm wearing a suit and ties like Kevin Samuels and all that. Honestly, I did this because actually I say Ike was kind of part of it too. Seeing Ike all dressed up, honestly, when I think about it. So people who ask about the Kevin Samuels thing, I think it was in my mind. I wanted to upgrade myself, but as I saw Ike and a few others, that's why I think the core idea of this suit and tie stuff came from. It was like Ike, he was like the backbone kind of to it. So as you don't know, when you coming in, people we was talking earlier about people be saying that, oh, Kevin Samuels got everybody wearing suits and ties and everything. But I have been honest and I really thought to myself, I was like, I wanted to grow, I want to be more productive. And I was watching your videos too, and I've been seeing how sharp you was too. So I think that was kind of a crutch to help me to even change the look the par. You get what I'm saying? Not just I watch a Kevin
Hmm.
Samuels hour and be like, I'm gonna just go ahead and you're average at best. Like, nah.
Yeah. Let me finish one thought, and then I'm going to ask you a question about what you just said. The
Go
thought I'm
ahead, do
going
your
to
thing.
finish is what you were asking me about the whole wife thing.
Oh yeah. Did
Later
you?
on, I went and I tweaked that a little bit for her to kind of understand because and this is the thing about quote unquote RP. Um, it is a profound kind of deep understanding of human nature, psychology, and philosophy. Again, to the degree to which you can both understand and then apply it. But there are many facets to it. Some people only go so far as to be like, oh, I get she's over there, but I'm never gonna. Okay, let me put it this way. Okay. As a man, you should expect to understand the woman more than she understands you. And that's just going to be your cross to bear. Now, when I say understand, I actually mean understand. There are other aspects that she's going to be better at in the feelings department, but that's not my department anyway. We just talked about stoicism and all that crap. I'm not into that, okay? So, but when it comes to the understanding, and for me to be like, oh, I just made that mistake right there. She was coming from a position of feeling, and just because I'm not a feeling person doesn't mean that that's not where she exists. Therefore, I should go back and tweak that. Okay, even if she understands me or not, right? It doesn't matter. I'm the one that should understand more. I'm the one that's
Hmm.
the leader, right? But anyways, so about the whole Kevin Samuels thing, I'm going to ask you about You said to improve and all that kind of stuff. Like, well, what does wearing a suit have to do with improving, right? Isn't that a legitimate question? Why? Why?
There's
Why do
a
you have to wear a suit to improve?
you asking me that?
I'm asking you because I'm trying to dig a little bit deeper or try to. I
On
have
my
my whole
psyche.
philosophy about it, but go ahead. Yeah.
Nah,
Why?
because
Why?
honestly, I know I've been reading self improvement books in my past, and people been talking about, especially Napoleon Hill. It was like if you manifest stuff, but if you look the par, like make your bed, like with Jordan Peterson, these
Hmm.
little tweaks will help you get pushed. It gives you a push towards where you're going at. So with this suit thing, it makes me feel I personally feel good, whether it's the same suit every
Hmm.
damn live, me dry clean it
Hmm.
on the weekends, and it just make me feel like I'm having effort
Hmm.
and manifestation towards getting to a goal. I know some people be like,
Interesting.
I'm gonna wear a suit and tie because I saw it on Wolf of Wall Street, but that's just my you kind of get it.
I get it. I get it. I get what you're saying. So there was an unconscious aspect, number one, which you saw it and you did it, right? That part, there's almost like almost everybody kind of understands. Like, okay, well, uh, I wanted to improve, and I grabbed on, I wore the suit, right? But then there's this other aspect which you broke down, I think, nicely, which is if you think about it, people tend not to people just imagine a black tie party or even a white tie party. You know one where they got the tuxes with the white bow tie. That's the highest level, right? White tie
Yeah.
is the highest level. Okay,
Okay, you
you
taught me
got the
something.
white bow tie with that upturned collar thing and your tux. Hey, you know that the tuxes with the tails behind them. Think that
Yeah.
level, right? People don't misbehave when they dress up like that, right? All of a sudden, their back is straight, they talk properly, but the thing is, they're having a good time, but they actually feel good about themselves, as you said, right? They feel good about themselves, and also they're in their best behavior. Okay. Now, forget all the. Some people might be. If you're someone like me, you may want to go in there and then look at all the different mechanisms and everything. But if you see that something works, don't question it too much. Okay, you know what I mean? It's like if
Okay,
I behave better and I feel better in a suit, why do I keep on questioning? you know, you just roll with it.
I feel
Now,
you.
if you're like me, as I said, I question it in order to get deeper understanding, right? In order to
Understand,
get
yeah.
the really deeper understanding, because yeah. But if it works, it works. Stop fighting against it, right?
But I think that probably my assumption of you questioning it is kind of like your engineer type of mindset, like you being an engineer.
Yep.
Because me, I'm doing network engineering as we speak, and I still can't
Hmm.
grasp the mind about how bits, binary numbers, one and zeros, get transferred through an Ethernet cable to a damn switch to a router right here and turns into a radio wave and gets connected to this invisible but yet it exists network, like how we speaking. I'm doing it. I've been
Mhm.
in school for it online for months, but still, I can't have that capital U
Mhm.
understanding of it. So I get you when you like, don't question it. It works, but certain things, I'm like, hold on, wait a second. This might be some damn magic going on right here, and people just overlooking this shit. That's my, and I swear I go down a deep rabbit hole every time. I be up at night, just like, how the heck can, like, don't get me started. But yeah, you gotta get what I'm saying, though. Yeah, yeah. I think that's what your
Yeah, I get what you're
aspect
saying. I get
is.
what you're saying. That is definitely what
Yeah,
my aspect is. And when you just brought that up, I just started thinking about because um, so I'm a physics guy mainly, right? That's my
yeah,
thing. That's my first love philosophically is physics. And one of the thing about like if you were in a pool of water, for example, because these things are signals, right? There's zeros and ones are just signals, on and off, on and off,
yes,
on and off, right? So if you imagine yourself that you're in a pool, okay, and you're a little in the corner, let's say you're a little fly sitting on the pool. So you're very sensitive to all the things that are going on in the pool. And then over there at one end, someone is tapping the pool like tip, 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 and the waves are coming this way. And then there's different frequencies of taps that are happening like that. And then you're busy getting all the signals. On the visual spectrum, you see different colors, right? On other spectrums which are not visible, right? These things are still there, radio waves, for example, or the infrared or ultraviolet on the high end. They're still there. There's still just waves in the pool. But the thing is, it's not water, right? It's an electromagnetic space, electromagnetic energy or electromagnetic field. But just
yeah.
because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Okay, I'm just kind of maybe to help to kind of one of the things is because it's invisible, it's hard to kind of imagine, but it is there. You are in a pool right now of electromagnetic water, and those things are just like the taps, tap 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 tap, right? And they're actually
Okay.
are happening.
So it's kind of like a different, I ain't gonna say different dimension, but I'm glad you explained that, kind of helping me with the network engineering of how this internet thing works. You get what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
I ain't gonna lie. At first, when I started doing this online school, I was damn near looking in the Cat 5e cable, and I was trying to, man, I was getting that deep. I was looking at the port, like, okay, is there doing some zap going through here? And I couldn't see it, so I kind of get your understanding. It's still there though, like how we are. You said we in an electromagnetic, what was it called again?
You're in the electromagnetic field is where these things propagate, just like that's where the waves are propagated, just like the waves in the pool are going through the medium of water. These other
Yeah.
waves are propagating themselves in the electromagnetic field. So part of the electromagnetic field you can see, and that's the light that you're using to look at me right now, right? So those particular wavelength and energy, because it's just about the wavelength. So imagine if somebody was like, if the waves are this big, which are like radio waves, you can't see them, right? But if the wave is within a particular range, right, you can see it, you can feel it, right?
Oh
So
snap! Damn. My
it
bad. I said,
interacts and it bounces. Yeah, it bounces off of the atoms around you and it comes back to you in your eyes. You detect it, you're set up for that kind of a thing. But there are other wavelengths that you can't see, either because they're big, like radio waves, or they're really small, like the uh, ultraviolet ones. Beyond, basically, what ultraviolet means is beyond violet, you can't see, and below red, infrared. Infrared means below red, and ultraviolet means above violet. You can't see anymore. What happened? The waves have just got too small or too big, right? And you can't interact with it anymore. That's all that means. And then, but it doesn't mean they're not there. They're still there, and you're still in this soup of the electromagnetic, field, doing all that stuff. Just imagine that it is all a pool, and all those waves. It's a crazy pool, right? With all kinds of things happening. And the magic of it is we can actually detect all those crazy waves coming within the pool, right? It's so many different, but that's the analogy that I sometimes use to help
you
because
pretty
it's all.
much go ahead. My bad.
Go ahead. No, I'm done.
You pretty much taught me how a remote works on a TV with the ultraviolet thing. Correct?
Have you ever tried? You know how you can look at through your cell phone camera at a remote? You push the button and you see the light. Have you ever
Yeah.
done that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't see the light because the camera the camera structure can interact with that level. So think about it this way, and we're backing off a little bit now into just understanding big wave, small wave, and when I say interact, what do I mean? So if you're like a tiny little rock on the bottom of this lake, right? Big waves that go past you like this and you just keep on, you don't even know they're there. But small little waves that kind of chop you up and hit you, right? You know they're there, right? That's what I mean by certain things can interact, right, with certain waves, because in this particular case, you are of a certain size and the wave comes and is smaller than you. The wave has to be smaller than you, so it hits you. But if the wave is massive, you don't even know it's there. So it's the same principle. Okay, it's the same principle, and this is what they're doing in the Large Hadron Collider, for example. Let's not go there. Let's not. That's. I'm getting carried
It's,
away.
it's advanced. No, but listen, y'all in the chat, the supporters, this dude pretty much just broke down how physics work in a way. And that just kind of helped me I'm trying to get that capital U understanding. And he's helping me get that. What I mean by capital U is like, I understand this. Okay, I understand if I hit this button, this comes on and everything. Now you're helping me get that capital U understanding. It's like the reason when I press this button is certain waves that within me is too big that I can't detect it, but within another node or structure that's engineered or whatever to detect those frequencies. That's what I kind of get. So I don't have a big capital U yet, but I'm getting there though, thanks to the help of you explaining it.
Yeah,
Real
analogies
deep.
are very useful in this regard. So, so let me talk about the Large Hadron Collider right now. So we've heard about these particle accelerators, right? And people are like, "Well, what are they doing? What's going on?" So basically, the big wave doesn't have a lot of energy, right? So so the smaller you get, the more energy you need. Okay, we follow me so far? The Large Hadron Collider, I'm gonna assume that that's a yes.
Yes, sir.
the, the Large Hadron Collider, which is trying to probe smaller and smaller and smaller distances, need more high frequency waves. High frequency, high frequency short wavelength, right? The big waves again don't have a lot of energy, and they can't see much because the things that are small, you can't see stuff when it's small with those big waves, right? If you're trying to get down to the small, you got to start getting smaller and smaller, higher frequency, shorter wavelengths, and you need a lot of energy to do that. So you literally just smash these freaking things at whatever, you know what they do, and bam, high energy so you can see that crap. Otherwise, all that stuff, whether it's the gluons and the quarks and the God particle, it's all there, but you just are not high energy enough, short wavelength, high frequency enough to cut it in that using that analogy of the rock that we use, right? That's really all that's going on.
At the end of the day, that's pretty much you painting a brush over all this little aspects I'm trying to understand right there. You pretty much saying that in order for you to tap in, with I heard about the Hughes atom, the God particle, you gotta
Mhm.
cut the wavelength short, and it gotta be energy, and the frequency gotta be wait. I call it, was it a treble or something? I think that's what it is. Like a treble is like within a wave.
Well, it depends on what you're trying to describe. There's wavelength. There is the amplitude of the wave. You know, when you draw a wave, there are different ways to describe it. There's the wavelength, which is the length from trough to trough of the wave, the peak or
Trough.
peak to
Okay.
peak of a wave. There is a frequency, which is how many waves within a particular time, right? And you need high frequency, lots of waves within time, short wavelength, and that takes a lot of energy. And that's why you need all this high energy stuff in order to look smaller and smaller and smaller. Because you can already imagine as that little rock, you know that big wave doesn't have a lot of energy. You can already feel it. You already got that sense, right? But you know that the
Yes.
the short wave that will disturb you, that's more. It takes more energy, right? Whoever's producing it needs to do something like to get some freaking jackhammer into the water or something, right? That is basically what we're doing, but we're doing it in the electromagnetic spectrum, right? Not in your water spectrum, but it's still the same kind of thing, at least analogy wise. It's still a wave, right?
Dang, that's right. I like how you explain. Thanks for helping me out with that. I mean, I know people probably like, what the heck? But me, that helped me out a lot right there. You probably saved me like 20 minutes of sleep at night just trying to go into that aspect because it's hard to connect or see somebody who could, the phantom technique, who could explain it like that individual who I described. And you just
Yeah, and
had
those signals of
perfect
yours,
ways.
which we started from in the beginning, those signals, okay, the zeros and ones, that's us. We have a, we want to represent information that way. That is us, okay? We just use the waves to say, okay, well, this one is zero, this one is one, right? It's not like the universe, it's got zeros and one, that kind of stuff. Those waves are just there. We are the ones saying, I'm going to send. It's almost like Morse code. I'm sending the pulse like this, tick,
Oh
tick,
yeah.
tick, and it means something to me. You get what I'm saying? It's like the water again. I'm just tapping the water a certain way. And when the signal gets to this other place, it reads it at 0, 1, 0. And then with a string of zeros and ones, I interpret that information, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's that human. That's when we come into the play of it means something to us as opposed to any other aspects within living or existence.
Yes.
They're just like they don't just what I'm saying. That's deep
Yeah.
right there. Question real quick for Ned. He said, "Wouldn't CERN be playing God though?" And I don't know what he mean by that. CERN.
CERN is the people who are in charge of the Large Hadron Collider. Now, maybe not. I can interpret the question and then answer it, right? Maybe because we mentioned the God particle, right? Or maybe because they're going beyond certain frontiers. But when you give a baby a stick or a rock and it starts banging it together, right? Is the baby playing God, right?
Yeah, I get it.
When you are trying to have your big you understanding, are you playing God? That's a good question. The answer may be yes, right? But it's not. It does not start to become yes at the Large Hadron Collider level. It's yes all the way since you were a baby, right? There is no difference between you banging protons at close to light speed or you trying to bang these little rocks together when you're less than 1 year old just because what is this? What is this thing? What if I do this? What if I stick this in there? What if I do that? Right? Well, what are you doing? There is no difference between that and taking a rocket to Mars or hitting two protons together next to light speed. We're just doing what we've always done. Now, when we get beyond a certain point, which we haven't gone before, we start to worry a little bit. Like, oh, this is a little too close to fundamentals. But I don't see it that way. The other thing, which I would say, though, another aspect of answering it is you are God.
That boy hit him with that. Now you gonna have people gonna be like, "Hey, hold on, Ike, stop that bull." They gonna hit you with that, Ike. How you coming in?
They're gonna hit you with that for sure.
They gonna hit you
Um,
with that. It's okay. Go ahead.
it's uh, it's not a very esoteric thing, but it sounds like an esoteric topic. It sounds like kind of obscure or whatever. But when I say you're God, it's simple. If you define God as that which is the most fundamental, or shall we say all powerful, and therefore at some point you're gonna get to God is everything, right? If I were to tell you that, it's not that crazy, right?
No,
So it's like if you are God's fingernail, aren't you still God, right? If God is existence, being in and of itself, and then being has fingernails and toenails and little bacteria and this and that, and you just happen to be one of the bacteria just doing it, and you don't know the big picture, right? The
yeah.
fingernail doesn't know the big picture, but the fingernail is still God, right? It's still part, that kind of thing. So that's the aspect in which I'm saying that you're God, nothing special, right? It's not even controversial at all.
Okay, so it's like your immune system as we speak. Like my parts of my brain is keeping my heart beating and digesting the food that I ate earlier, and my respiratory system, and all that. That's considered what you're saying within, like the existence, operations, right?
Yeah. So if you were God, right, and you are the boss, you're the big guy, you got the plan, and then young Grump is in you, just a little digestive little molecule, right? It doesn't really know what the plan is or anything, but is it still not you?
Yeah, of course, it gotta be because if it don't exist, it would mess up everything within me having existence.
So the plane of God by us, well, then it's God's fault, right? If God is out here, doing too much, then maybe he should stop, right? You get what I'm saying, right? It's not our fault that God is acting through us in a certain way, right? Now, I'm gonna be being a little flimsy with that because we still do have choice. We are the kind of microorganism, using this analogy, that knows maybe we're going too far or not. So the question still is a good question. But again, let me say the two ways of answering it. We did not start playing God in the Large Hadron Collider level. We started playing God when you woke up as a baby and started asking questions by banging things together, right? Now you build a big, big, big machine just to bang things together really, really hard. Are you really fundamentally doing anything different? No. And then secondly, you are God. So if God is out there playing little games, well, then that's his fault.
Hold on, man. I got the dang dogs in the background going crazy, man. Little, I can't stand them, but I like your the way you broke it down and everything. Now that goes back to us speaking. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put. I know we went over an hour. I ain't trying to hold you too long, but I'm gonna ask this one more question. I'm gonna let you end it on what you want to end it on. But the brain function, the high entropy, I read from that book that I'm reading. It's called Flow State by Me, How Chicks Sit Me High book. But they had did studies on it, but it's like the entropy, high entropy within your brain, as opposed to me talking to you, and there's communication, there's understanding. Like if I said red apple, it appears in your mind and everything.
Hmm.
Is that similar to, how do I explain that? Like what is that? Like that's like a different type of, how, like now I'm going real
Mm.
deep. Yeah. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? The imaginary mind. Go ahead.
Hmm. 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 So you said entropy, right? And that is
Yeah.
a word that a lot of people hear, maybe a lot of people don't understand, and it's not their fault that they don't understand it because it's actually quite complicated word because there's so many ways to describe it, right? One way to that people have heard about entropy is that entropy is always increasing, right? Which is that there's more disorder in the universe. Things are just getting more and more disordered. If you build a house and you come back 50 years and it's collapsed on the floor, you're not going to be surprised. That is the direction that the universe goes into, disorder. But if you put a bunch of cement and wood on the floor and you come back 50 years and it builds itself into a house, you're going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. In other words, order going into this kind of high energy state is another way to look at it. Is not what the universe wants to do. It wants to break down those bonds. It wants to go down to its lowest energy state. It wants the things that are high to fall down to the ground. It just wants to go in that direction. That's one way in which entropy is described. What you're talking about, though, is the fact that entropy describes a certain state of disorder, which means that something that could be arranged many different ways, it has more entropy. So if I have a block, two blocks, for example, and they're contained within this kind of space where it could either be like this, one block here, or one block here, one block here. It's only two states. That's very low entropy. But if I have like a million blocks in a three-dimensional and they're all different colors and there's so many, imagine like a million dimensional Rubik's Cube, right? That's a high entropy situation. And with a high entropy situation, you can represent all kinds of information in there. You can already kind of imagine, right? You can arrange it in many and rearrange it and rearrange it and rearrange it. Similarly, with the neurons in your brain, so many fired so many different ways and blah blah blah. So basically, when you're trying to now, okay, I'm only just going to describe this, that it takes that kind of high entropy situation for you to be able to represent information in many different ways. That's all I'm saying. Because if you just have block here, and I can only shift it like this, that's all information. I got like one bit of, or maybe two bits of information. That's it,
Yeah.
right? But if I got many blocks, all disordered, all over the place, different kind of shapes, different kind of, and it can be arranged in so many different ways. I can get a whole, I can represent things in many different ways out of that. The point is, the universe is getting more and more disordered. Um, but then at the end, it's going to end up in some kind of nice, ordered, flat state, which is a different story. But uh,
Ooh, that was deep.
perhaps I didn't answer your question, but you didn't
No,
really
no,
ask
no,
a
you
question
kind of, no,
either,
you
right?
kind of did. You kind of did, for real. You kind of did. But my question is, after that, is once it goes to that flat 1 or 2 bits, what creates it to
Mhm.
go from that to
Back to the
2,256 bits? That's a good question right
yeah.
there.
Yeah, so this is on the realm of physics where they don't really have that answer yet. In other words, we talk about the universe is going to can expand and continue to expand and expand and expand and expand, and then at some point everything is going to be even temperature. Uh, you're right here, it's -0 Kelvin. Right here, -0 Kelvin. Everywhere is just, in other words, there is no flow, if you can understand, right? Because when there's energy differential, if here is hot and here is cold, there's going to be flow. We all know that, right? Hot wants to go to cold, or, that kind of thing. High wants to go to low, all that kind of stuff. When everything just then flattens out, that's also a very low entropy state, which is just like you just got one block, right? Now, what happens after that? Some people say that it's going to start reversing itself and crunching back again, and then it's going to do a big bang and expand. And then that's one way. It's kind of like the accordion model of the universe. Okay, this at this point is speculation. Another one is okay. Just that's it. It just freezes and we're done. But another one is that it'll start up again through quantum fluctuations, and quantum fluctuations are the part where the, shall we say, randomness comes into the picture, in the sense that it will just randomly jigger itself into creating some chaos again, which which gets us into quantum physics and the randomness question, which we don't necessarily want to get into.
No, no,
But
I
those are the
saw that.
answers. Yeah,
Yeah, because I
those are the
saw.
answers to your question.
Okay, appreciate it because I saw that. I saw that split one where if you put an eye at particles and they'll act in order, but if you don't put an eye on it, then it goes like like it's quantum, whatever you call it. Then it, that, yeah, buddy, yeah, buddy, I feel you on that one.
Look, you know what? So here's one thing about because there's an analogy also that you can use in terms of human behavior, right? So it is harder to predict one person than it is to predict a mob. Okay, so what you said is something different that I'm going to say right now. Okay, but you may also recognize this particular quantum phenomenon, which is that when you get small, the electron, right? You can't. There is no knowing both its speed and its location. It's called the uncertainty principle, right? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? It's like, no, I don't know. It's a probability distribution, right? It's both here and here. It passed through this hole and that hole, that kind of a thing. We've all seen that. We've watched bullshit movies like The Secret, and know those are the people who try to make it woo woo too, right? So we all kind of know in the 21st century a little bit of the quantum phenomenon that's out there. That is very much like one individual, one person. It's kind of hard to predict them. But when they start getting bigger, in other words, when you start getting more and more electrons, you can be like, this cup is here in this location, right? Even though when I get down to its individual electrons, it gets weird. The same thing with people. When you get them in a mob, when you get them in a group, when you get them doing groupthink, you can very clearly predict them. They're gonna do this. But if you take out one individual out of that group, all of a sudden it gets weird again. It's like, what is he gonna do? I don't know. But when you put it in, it's funny. What I'm saying is, it's not exactly the same thing going on, but it's funny that that thing repeats itself on the human level. That when you put a mob together, you can more or less determine what they're gonna do. But as individuals, they get all squirrely again and unpredictable. So it's and you know the great politicians of the world know this, right? And mobs are very predictable things.
Oh yeah, it's like as a masses, you like, okay, they're about to bust that window and they're about to go inside that store.
Yep.
Boom. You
But
take
one
one
person
individual,
you don't know what they're gonna do.
you don't know. They might build another store right beside it, so who knows?
You don't know. It's
Yeah,
funny.
you don't. Yeah, I like that's a better way of explaining what that the eye focus on the particles and they're looking away. Okay, that helps me get a better understanding of that though. But now this is the part where we're coming to the end of the live. I asked for you to steer this conversation in a direction that you want to cover, that you got, that you feel like you need to like put out to the masses.
Okay, so there's something that you said in the, or well, you wrote it down. You're like, how to, what did you call this live? What is the title of it?
Oh, it was if I can remember inside the because that's really what we're doing inside the mind of Ike, using your mind to create your reality.
Okay, good. So in the using your mind to create your reality, we're gonna go away from the esoteric now and all that stuff, and we just come down to brass tacks,
All right,
which
y'all in the
is
chat. All right, we're going back now, so just relax. Go ahead, Ike.
basically there are lots of things that we need to unlearn in order to, let's just say, as a man, to be successful, to be productive, to kind of thrive, to survive. We started out talking about the fact that you need to be practice stoicism, right? You need to pick up that cross and go up that hill and all that kind of stuff. But there's some things that we definitely need to unlearn as well. It's a big part of it because a lot of times people think, oh, I got to go learn stuff. A lot of times it's just crap you got to remove. Okay, some of which is like, for example, people. Okay, you need more money than you think. That's one thing that you need to put that in there because that somebody told you before that, oh, you know, just be an average earner. Average earning is good. No, the average earning is not good, and it hasn't been good for a long time for reasons which you can go do some googling and find out. Because let's say the middle class, for example, which is a lifestyle, not a not a statistical thing, because you have median or mode or average, right, which is a measure of a middle of a statistical distribution, right? You could say 50,000 or 42,000, whatever it is kind of like the average income. But the middle class lifestyle, okay, which was sold to you by banks or politicians and all that kind of stuff, is, oh, I got a house and a picket fence and I can barbecue with this and I can take a vacation maybe once a year, that kind of a thing. The median income is not gonna get you there, okay? You know that. You know 50K ain't getting you no house with the picket fence and the 2.5 kids and vacations. Hell no. Okay. So that's, and even the actual middle class that pretend with their, with their BMW and all that kind of stuff, it's all debt. Shout out to Savings Minus Debt. I know he was here not too long ago, right? It's all
Yes,
being
sir.
financed. Okay. So they cannot afford it. Okay. They cannot afford it. You cannot afford it. I cannot afford it. Basically saying, whatever, I'm trying to
I get it.
bring myself down to the masses now. Okay?
I get it. I get
We
it.
cannot
Yeah, I get it.
we cannot afford that stuff. Okay, that is one thing that we got to unlearn. That bullshit that people say about, oh, yeah, it's okay. No, it's not okay. Especially if you're a man and the burden of performance is on you as a man. You should not be thinking all this. Anyways, that's one basic thing that we got to unlearn. Another thing is, people say, oh, don't talk to strangers. No, everything that you want out there, and I know this is kind of like a childish thing. Oh, don't talk to strangers. But when we get told that, we kind of grow up with that kind of a thing. We kind of look at everybody out there as though they were the enemy. Um, Everything that you want, someone else has. Okay, if you want $1 billion, it's not going to come from God. It's going to come from somebody else's bank account. Let me say that again. Okay, if you want
Go ahead.
$1 billion that big, it's not going to come from God. Even if you want a dollar or whatever, it's going to come from somebody else's bank account. You need to convince either a billion people to give you a dollar or one person to give you $1 billion, and all kinds of permutations in between, right? So, and the fear that instills in us, that idea of, oh, the people out there are the enemies. Like, dude, you study psychology type stuff. What's the percentage of people who are Charles Manson out there? It's a tiny percent.
Tiny
The
percent.
way the way we act is, oh, everybody, the neighbor and the person at the grocery store is gonna chop your head off. Like, like everybody's just bad. Nah, probably you're worse than them, that kind of a thing. But the idea is we need to understand that success is a social activity. Okay. Now, I'm an introvert, big time. So, so I'm not some kind of like just wild extrovert out here telling everybody to do kumbaya stuff. Like, this is not natural to me, what I'm saying right now. But people are not out there to kill you or do all kinds of crazy things like that. The whole don't talk to strangers, stranger danger, and all that kind of crap. That's going to keep you poor. It's going to keep you out of networks, which then reduces your net worth and all that kind of stuff. Here's another thing, too. It's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. And this dovetails with what I just said as well. You know Jeff Bezos, right? Does that matter?
Yep. No,
But if Jeff Bezos knows you, right?
it matters.
Then there's a difference. Okay. So it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. And if I were to kind of draw that out a little bit, because a lot of times people juxtapose that with what you know. They say it's not what you know, it's who you know. But let me tell you the real story. The real story is whom knows you to be a competent and person that knows something. For example, right? You, me, and some guy James, right? Maybe we may be in the same network. Maybe we graduate from college together, right? That kind of a thing. Okay. You, young grump, are good at what you do. Okay. You are a mechanical engineer, right? You know you maybe do tractors or this or that, HVAC, whatever it may be. You're a mechanical guy, right? I'm some kind of engineer. James is just in the network. He's kind of, maybe he does a little bit of this, if he does a little bit of that. But he's a very social guy, though. He definitely knows us. We know him and all that kind of stuff. Okay. James is always, talking about how we got to do this together, do that together. But he doesn't actually pull his weight. Okay. You start building your stuff. You start becoming, you start your own outfit. You get your contractor's license and you start your own moonlighting operation. You start building up. And I know you to be that guy. I'm an engineer. I'm building my own stuff too. I build Prometheus Engineering. You build Young Grump Enterprises, right? We know each other to be competent people, okay? So it's not just that we know each other, but we also know that we know stuff, right? All of a sudden, I get into some particular kind of contract. I'm working some contract with the federal government, and they're like, "We need a mechanical contractor, blah blah blah," because whatever. let's say James is also a mechanical contractor, right? And I know James. Am I going to call James? No, I'm going to call Young Grump. Okay. Not because I know him only, because I said, number one, I got to know him. It's not about him knowing me, it's about me knowing him. But number two, he's also competent. So that juxtaposition between it's not what you know, it's who you know, that's just kind of like, I was like, oh my God, it's like brain dead bullshit. Of course, you got to know something, and people got to know you as knowing that thing. Okay. Young Grump knows his shit. And also, I know him as knowing that stuff. Boom, I call Young Grump. He gets the contact. James is going to be like, oh my God, they did not put me in. Why didn't they put me on? Right? It's like, dude, that's not how it works. You don't benefit from the network unless you are bringing something into the network. The chain is only as strong as its weakest link. If you are a weak link, if you're James in that thing, you're not getting crap from knowing people. You can keep on coming to our reunions. We could keep on hanging out in Miami every 2 years, and you show up and you tell us the stories or whatever. But you're not going to benefit anything from that network unless we know you to be competent. So it's not just who you know, it's who knows you, right? But then they got to know you to actually know some shit. And that's how the whole thing works. Well, I'll leave it at that.
Bruh, that was a updated life lesson right there. Like being comp. Whoa, damn, bro. I got that shit right there. That's something else. I gotta do an air horn effect for that right there. I ain't gonna lie. I know you're a busy man. I'm a busy man too, but I appreciate you ending it like that because that was much needed right there. Any last things you want to say though? Like, I got your channel in the chat so people can subscribe to his pin in the comments, and I'm gonna add it in the description down below. Also, once I leave this live, I appreciate you, brother.
Oh, yeah. So since we're on that, definitely go ahead and subscribe to my channel over there. It's about being better and doing better, right? But there's a strong emphasis on doing, which means that it's not just about the talk, meaning that just like I told you about the whole Young Grump and me and James story, when I give you an example, when I tell you something, it's going to be intuitive in the sense that you're going to see, yes, that makes sense. And yes, this is how it works. Yes, it's not about who I know, it's about who knows me. If I tell you something about, let's say, mastering your subjective consciousness, meditation, so on and so forth, I'm going to tell you something to try, and you're going to see the effect tomorrow. Not some kind of wishy-washy, just be one with the universe, put good vibes out there. That kind of thing. Oh, I'm going to put good vibes out there, put good whatever, or karma, it comes back to you. Like, no, I'm going to tell you how it works granularly. You'll see it. You'll be able to start practicing it tomorrow, and it works 100% of the time. So definitely go out there and check it out. And it's much appreciated. And also, thank you again for the opportunity, Young Grump. We'll be back again. This is what? Is it the second time or the third time I've been on this channel?
This is the third time now.
All right.
But it
We'll
was
be back.
within 6 month span though. Okay. It's
Yeah,
like once
like you
every
gotta
2 months.
well, there you go. There you go. We'll be back again, and then you'll have a little bit more subscribers, more success to you, and definitely appreciate it. I'm how many hours ahead am I from you? You're in the East Coast, right?
I'm 2:27 p.m.
Gotcha. So I am in Accra, Ghana, which is 5 or 4 hours ahead of you. I believe it's 4 hours ahead of you, so it's not so bad, not so bad. Across the Atlantic there, and I'll be here for the next 3 months. So speaking of my channel again, I'm going to be dropping some more information about videos out here showing things that are going on, what I'm working on, what I'm building, and just for people who are interested in that kind of stuff, want to the whole international thing and how it can be done right. That's some more stuff that I'll be putting out there. But yeah, maybe by the time I come back to the States, I'll come back to your channel again. How about that?
So maybe I appreciate you. I love how straight up you be, man. That they be making my day. You're like, yeah, I don't care. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Ike right there. You gotta love it.
Yeah, send me that beat. Send me that beat and drop.
Oh yeah, I got you.
I'll be
I got you
dropping
after
lines
this.
to beats on time when I drop a timeless speech. I teach post ipsa facto. It's natural front to back though. Pack with mad flow. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, you kind of pissed me off when you had sent me that those 2 voicemails of you rapping. I was like, God, then you're not supposed to be rapping. You're supposed to but you got it all. You multi-talented, so I get that to you, man. But till next time, y'all. Peace, man. Definitely appreciate you.
All right.